An overcast October morning loomed over the federal courthouse in downtown New York. The sky was gray, the heavy clouds reflecting the heavy mood of those waiting in the courtroom. A crowd of reporters and curious onlookers crowded the heavy wooden doors of Courtroom 7, where the high-profile lawsuit between technology company Magnetek and Elon Musk would officially begin. This was not just an ordinary lawsuit, but a battle for survival in the future of energy technology. But what got everyone talking was that Elon Musk, the billionaire famous for his daring projects from Tesla, SpaceX to Neuralink, decided to represent himself, not hiring a lawyer. A decision that confused both the media and legal experts. Questions were raised. Why wouldn't someone like Musk hire a lawyer? Does he disregard the law? Or is this a dangerous calculation? Judge Beatrice Thornwald, a woman in her 60s, says, with silver hair tied in a bun, a stern face and sharp eyes, sat in the judge's chair, her hands tapping rhythmically on the oak table, waiting for the appearance of the main character. She was the one who had tried the biggest lawsuits, confronting billionaires and leading technology companies. No one could fool Beatrice, at least until this moment. The heavy wooden door of the courtroom suddenly opened. Elon Musk appeared, without any lawyers or assistants, just by himself. He wore a simple gray suit, no tie, carrying an old leather briefcase, his face calm but his eyes shining with determination. The whole room suddenly fell silent. Those who had thought this was just a joke now began to take it more seriously. If you love engaging, dramatic stories and thrilling cases, don't forget to subscribe to the channel today. Each video is a journey full of surprises, taking you into the world of unsolved mysteries. Join me in exploring, analyzing, and feeling every detail of the story. Judge Beatrice raised her eyebrows slightly, half curious, half disdainful. She held the case file in her hand, her voice cold. "Mr. Musk, I see in the file that you will represent yourself, right?" Musk nodded gently, his eyes unwavering. "Yes, Your Honor." A murmur arose from the audience. A few reporters whispered, "He's crazy, defending himself in a lawsuit worth hundreds of millions of dollars." Judge Beatrice smiled slightly, a somewhat sarcastic smile. "Mr. Musk, I sincerely advise you to reconsider. This is a complicated case involving intellectual property rights, top-secret technology, and international patents. This is not like you launching a rocket to Mars." The room erupted in giggles, especially from the desk of Dominic Reeves, the famous lawyer representing Magnetek. Reeves, a middle-aged man in an expensive suit and with well-groomed salt-and-pepper hair, looked at Musk with disdain, his mouth pursed in a triumphant smile. But Musk just bowed his head and replied, "Thank you for your advice, Your Honor, but I believe I am capable of presenting the truth." Judge Beatrice shook her head slightly, signaling for the trial to begin. "Okay, let's begin. Magnetek, please invite Mr. Reeves to make his opening statement." Dominic Reeves, the attorney representing Magnetek, approached the podium with a confident face. His suit was neatly pressed, his blue tie a symbol of power and control. "Your Honor," he began, his voice resonating throughout the courtroom, "today we will present irrefutable evidence that Elon Musk stole my client's technology. This evidence will show that Musk is not only a hypocrite, but also a professional thief disguised as a genius." The courtroom fell silent. Reeves held up a stack of documents, emblazoned with the Magnetek logo, and a small USB stick that he claimed contained electronic evidence. Below, a group of reporters quietly took notes, the flashes from their cameras flashing continuously. The whole of America was watching this lawsuit, a lawsuit that was not only about Elon Musk, but also a public battle over truth and trust in the technology industry. As Reeves began to show the proof images of the battery technology design, many in the room, including Judge Beatrice, nodded in agreement. The detailed drawings and technical diagrams were presented in a methodical and clear manner. Reeves pointed to the similarities between Magnetek's product and Musk's company. "Your Honor, this is the design from Magnetek, filed for patent first. And this," he paused for a moment, turning to the image from Musk's company, "is a blatant copycat version, with only a few small details changed to fool the public." His voice rang out sharply, pushing the story to a climax. Magnetek's side smiled triumphantly, as if they had already won. But while the room listened attentively, Elon Musk just sat silently, writing something in an old leather notebook. Leela Chin, Musk's chief engineer, sat next to him, unable to hide her anxiety. She whispered, "Elon, do you see? They're burying us alive." Musk just smiled slightly, whispering back, "Calm down, Leela. The battle has only just begun." Judge Beatrice Thornwald looked at the evidence presented before her, nodded slightly, her sharp eyes turned to Musk. "Mr. Musk, do you have any objections to this evidence, or should I take your silence as an admission?" The atmosphere was heavy in the room. Reeves smiled half-heartedly, slightly raising the corners of his mouth, as if waiting for Musk to make a weak defense. Musk stood up, slowly. His eye swept the room, stopping for a long time on Judge Beatrice. "Your Honor," he began, his voice deep and warm, "I respect your patience. But I believe that the truth always takes time to be revealed. And today, I will start the story from the things that Magnetek deliberately concealed." The room fell silent. No one expected Mr. Musk, whom they thought was blindly confident, to begin so calmly and cautiously. Musk pulled out an old, crumpled sketch from his briefcase, filled with handwritten notes and dates from over a year ago. "Here," Musk held up the paper, "is the first blueprint of the battery technology that my team and I developed. It has a full timeline, proving that we are the originators of this technology." Reeves chuckled. "Handwritten paper? Do you think we believe those papers?" Musk smiled, slowly placing the blueprint on the table as evidence. "You're right. Papers can be falsified. But what about the time data stored on the internal server system, Mr. Reeves?" The room gasped in surprise. Reeves stood still. Beatrice raised her eyebrows, her eyes flashing with curiosity for the first time. "You mean, you have a record proving the origin of the technology?" Musk nodded slightly. "Not just the original, Your Honor. I have the entire development history from the early days, and tomorrow I will present everything." The whole courtroom began to stir. Some reporters ran out of the room and began to type hot updates. Musk suddenly counterattacked with unknown evidence. Judge Beatrice banged the gavel 3 times. Her eyes seemed to penetrate Musk's mind. "Very good, Mr. Musk. Then we will continue tomorrow. But I hope you understand, what you promise must be proven with undeniable evidence." Musk stood up straight, his eyes unwavering. "I understand, Your Honor, and I am ready." The next morning, courtroom No. 7 was packed. News of Elon Musk's unexpected counterattack yesterday had spread like wildfire. The audience filled the rows of seats, their faces curious, solemn, and nervous. Many of them were older businessmen, retired engineers, people who had been through real-life legal battles, who had come to see if the world's richest man could defend himself without a lawyer. Judge Beatrice Thornwald entered, her eyes sharper than usual. She had spent the night poring over the entire case file, and now she was ready to witness the rebuttal that Musk promised would change everything. "The trial begins. Mr. Musk, are you ready to present the evidence you mentioned yesterday?" The judge's voice rang out, loud and authoritative. Musk stood up. Today he was no longer sloppy, no longer crumpled pieces of paper. Instead, he wore a simple but elegant suit, stepped up to the podium with a small USB stick in his hand, holding the evidence that was considered the trump card in this battle. Musk began, his voice warm and unflinching. "Your Honor, yesterday the plaintiffs Magnetek presented the blueprints that they said were theirs, but today I'm going to show you the truth." He plugged a USB into the court computer, and the large screen in the middle of the room projected archived files with timestamps from 2 years ago, before Magnetek had even announced their so-called breakthrough battery technology. Everyone fell silent. Reeves, Magnetek's lawyer, stiffened. Hammond, Magnetek's CEO, was sweating, despite the cool air conditioning in the room. Musk turned to Judge Beatrice. "In addition, I would like to present a series of emails between myself and my associates detailing the development of this technology, including technical issues that only those directly involved in the research would know." On the screen, the emails appeared. In it, Musk and Lila Chen, his chief engineer, discuss in detail the new nano-coating material, the heat treatment, and the early technical flaws that Magnetek's design, coincidentally, also had. Judge Beatrice frowned slightly, turning to Reeves for the first time since the lawsuit began with a suspicious look. "Mr. Reeves, how do you explain this evidence? The timestamps are authentic and the content is very detailed." Reeves stood rooted to the spot, his face pale. He stammered, We need to double-check. Could those documents be forged?" Musk smiled, his eyes shining, adding another punch. "Your Honor, for the avoidance of doubt, I have invited an independent forensic expert to confirm that these files are original, unedited, and I submit a data audit report from the security company CyberSecure." He handed the report to the court staff. Judge Beatrice took it, flipped through the pages, her eyes growing more and more serious. Musk continued, "Your Honor, I have another piece of evidence." The room turned to the screen as a video recorded from a secret security camera was shown. In the video, Magnetek CEO Victor Hammond and his assistant were secretly taking pictures of the research equipment in Musk's lab, even though he had previously claimed there was no copying. The audience erupted in surprised whispers. Judge Beatrice bowed her head and covered her mouth as if to hide her shock. Throughout her career as a judge, she had seen many schemes, but such a blatant act from a large corporation was truly rare. Now all those who had doubted Elon Musk were silent. No one laughed at this man anymore. The people sitting behind, from businessmen to old men and women who had passed their prime, looked at him with admiration. Judge Beatrice banged her gavel. "The court will take a break so the jury can consider this new evidence." Outside the courtroom, reporters surrounded Lila Chen and Musk. An elderly reporter asked loudly, "Mr. Musk, does Magnetek still have a chance to defend after the evidence you just announced?" Musk turned around, his eyes cold but determined. "I did not come here to destroy anyone. I came to protect justice. As for them, if they have to suffer the consequences, that is their choice." Lila looked at Musk with admiration and said softly, "Today you have changed the way the world views you, Elon." That afternoon, the entire city of San Francisco held its breath. News of the evidence Elon Musk announced in court spread quickly across newspapers, television stations, and social networks. The headlines were read, "Elon Musk turns the tables around for Magnetek. Magnetek CEO accused of plagiarism in court. Courtroom explodes as Musk releases secret video as evidence." In the coffee shops frequented by the business class and the elderly intellectuals, the only thing people talked about was the historic trial. The old men and women who had worked in the technology industry, who understood better than anyone the value of innovation, were clutching their coffee cups, shaking their heads at Magnetek's brazenness. In a skyscraper across from the courthouse, Reeves, Magnetek's lead lawyer, was pacing anxiously in a conference room. Magnetek CEO Victor Hammond sat in front of him, his face pale as if he had lost everything. "Do you understand what just happened?" Reeves said angrily, his voice tense. "Elon Musk has not only humiliated us, but has also provided irrefutable evidence. If you continue to let this lawsuit go any further, you will not only lose your company, but you may also face criminal charges of industrial espionage." Victor Hammond slammed his fist on the table, his face red with anger and despair. "No way! We are Magnetek, a world-class name. I will not let Musk destroy me like this." Reeves, now tired and speechless, sat down opposite Hammond, looking him straight in the eye. "You have to wake up, Victor. This is a dangerous game. If we continue to deny and attack, we will sink deeper." Hammond was silent, but his sharp eyes flashed with danger. He was still not ready to surrender. A few hours later, as night fell over the city, a secret meeting took place in a closed office. Hammond summoned two strange men who specialized in handling sensitive issues for large corporations. "I need you to make a witness disappear. Priya Nair," Hammond whispered, looking around as if afraid someone would hear. The two men exchanged cold glances, then nodded. The new plan was set in motion, a dark scheme that Hammond believed was the only way to escape. Meanwhile, across the city, Elon Musk, Lila Chen, and Priya Nair sat around a table, discussing their next move. Despite having dealt fatal blows to Magnetek, they knew that their opponents would not give up easily. Elon, you know they won't leave Priya alone, right? Lila looked at Musk nervously. I'm ready to face them, Priya said calmly, but her hands were shaking slightly. I've been preparing myself since I decided to go into the courtroom. Musk looked at Priya with respect. He knew that, without her, they would have lost the battle long ago. We'll protect you, Priya, Musk said firmly. I've hired a private security team. They'll be watching you 24/7. At around 2 a.m. at the hotel where Priya was staying, two strangers broke in through the fire escape. A small sound rang out in the room, like the sound of a door opening slightly. Priya was sleeping when she was suddenly awakened by the strange noise. She tiptoed towards the door. At that moment, a dark figure rushed out from behind, using a chemical-soaked towel to cover her mouth. Priya struggled desperately, her eyes wide open, trying to find a way to call for help, but only a moment later she collapsed to the floor. The next morning, when Musk and Lila went to the hotel to see Priya, they were shocked to see her room door wide open. The inside was empty. Musk immediately called the police, while Lila choked with worry. Elon, they took her. They want to erase all traces, Lila exclaimed, tears welling up. Musk clenched his fists, his eyes burning with anger. No, I won't let them escape. Looking out the hotel window, Musk pondered, then turned to Lila. We're going to take this to court. They want to silence witnesses. They're going to pay. He decided to immediately send evidence of Priya's disappearance to major news sites, along with a blunt message. If Magnetek thinks they can silence the truth, they're wrong. This fight isn't over, it's just beginning. The next morning, while the whole city of San Francisco was still in an uproar over the previous day's trial, the news of Priya Nair, the key witness, mysteriously disappearing immediately covered the newspapers. From local newspapers to national television stations, all carried the headline, Key Witness in Elon Musk's billion-dollar lawsuit mysteriously disappears. Is Magnetek involved? Inside the rented temporary office across from the courthouse, Elon Musk stood in front of the window, his eyes as cold as steel. Lila paced back and forth, her hands clenched, her face tense. Elon, if we don't find Priya before the trial continues, the whole thing will fall apart. Lila whispered, her voice trembling. I know, Musk replied, his eyes thoughtful. But I planned for the worst. Magnetek thought that eliminating Priya would be the end of it. But they didn't know I had a way to bring things to light. What do you have? Lila almost cried. They kidnapped her, and we're up against people who will do anything to win. Musk turned to Lila, his voice low but firm. Lila, I swear to you, I won't let Priya get hurt. And I won't let those people win. Just then, the phone on the table vibrated. An unfamiliar number appeared on the screen. Musk picked it up, his voice full of caution. Who is this? On the other end of the line, a strange man's voice, deep and urgent, rang out. Mr. Musk, this is Tom, the head of your private security team. We have news of Ms. Nair. Where is she? Musk asked urgently. We've tracked her dead cell. She was last seen in an old warehouse south of town. It looks like she's being held there. Musk narrowed his eyes, his gaze suddenly as sharp as a knife. Great. I want your team there now. No need to wait for the police. Get her back safely. We're on our way. But, sir, Tom's voice faltered. We believe the person who hired the group to guard Priya is an unofficial affiliate of Magnetek. Musk clenched his phone, his teeth clenched. I knew it, he said softly, his eyes burning with anger. They'll pay. Priya Nair, tied to a chair, kept her face calm but her heart filled with anxiety. The two strange men standing guard near the door whispered to each other, If she opens her mouth in court, Mr. Hammond is done for. Yeah, but if we let her get found so easily, we're done for, so we'll have to figure it out. Priya looked straight at them, her voice weak but determined. You think you can silence the truth? Elon Musk won't stop, and when he finds out where I am, you'll have more to do than the law. The two men looked at each other, slightly confused. But at that moment, a loud noise came from the back door of the warehouse. Slap! Slam! The sound of breaking in rang out, and seconds later the door swung open with terrifying force. Musk's security team appeared, with non-lethal weapons but full of control power. In just a split second, the two guards were neatly restrained. "Miss Priya, we're here to take you home." Priya breathed a sigh of relief, tears welling up in her eyes. Finally. That afternoon, when the trial resumed, all eyes were on Elon Musk. Everyone was speculating about what trick he had up his sleeve to turn the situation around after the key witness disappeared. Suddenly, the courtroom door opened. Priya Nair walked in, strong and proud, walking straight to the witness stand. The whole room fell silent. Judge Thornwald looked at her with wide eyes. "Miss Nair, are you safe?" "Your Honor, I was kidnapped by Magnetek's men to silence me. But now I will continue to tell you everything I know." The whole courtroom was noisy. Reporters were typing frantically. Hammond from the defendant's chair, his face was pale, sweat pouring out like a shower. Musk stood up, his eyes coldly looking straight at Hammond. "Your Honor, I would like to add evidence. The video recording from my security team recorded the rescue of Miss Priya from the group of men hired by Magnetek to silence her. This is undeniable evidence of obstruction of justice and industrial espionage." Judge Thornwald nodded, his voice cold. "I agree to include it in the case file." Turning to Reeves and Hammond, she said bluntly, "Do you still want to continue to deny it?" The courtroom seemed to hold its breath. Hammond bowed his head. Reeves stared at the file in front of him. Lila whispered softly to Musk, "Elon, you just finished the game." Musk smiled slightly, his eyes calm. "No, Lila, this is just the beginning." The atmosphere inside the courtroom became suffocatingly tense. All eyes were fixed on Elon Musk and Priya Nair, while Victor Hammond, CEO of Magnetek, now like a loser, sat motionless with a blank look in his eyes. At Magnetek's lawyer's table, Dominic Reeves, the once confident and arrogant, now bowed his head, clasped his hands in front of him, not knowing how to open his mouth to save the situation. "Your Honor, we are not just talking about a case of technology theft. We're talking about the destruction of the future of innovation, about a company that's willing to trample on ethics and the law for its own gain." Judge Beatrice Thornwald studied Musk carefully, her eyes sharp, but this time softening. "Mr. Musk, please continue. I want to hear your final recommendations on this case." "Your Honor, the evidence is clear. Magnetek not only stole technology, but also conspired to silence witnesses, pervert justice, and obstruct the legal process. I don't just want to see justice for the team who spent years working on it. I want to protect other young inventors who will look to this court to see that justice exists." He paused, his gaze sweeping the room, the air heavy. "Therefore, Your Honor, I ask, cancel all of Magnetek's patents, imposing a 5-year ban on Magnetek from developing any products using this technology, financially awarding our company $50 million in damages for its misconduct, referring the entire case to the Department of Justice for criminal investigation against Magnetek and the individuals involved." As soon as Musk finished speaking, Hammond immediately jumped up, screaming angrily, "This is a lie! Priya is a traitor and Mr. Musk is making things up." Judge Thornwald slammed his gavel on the table. "Mr. Hammond, I ask you to keep quiet, or you will be removed from the courtroom." Reeves urged Hammond to sit down, whispering, "Victor, if we lose control again, we will lose everything." Musk, in a calm but cold voice, said, "Your Honor, to conclude, I would like to present one last piece of evidence." He turned to Lila. She stepped forward, holding a USB drive, and connected it to the large screen in the middle of the courtroom. The screen lit up, showing a secret meeting within Magnetek, recorded by an anonymous member of a senior Magnetek employee who had secretly recorded it. In the video, Hammond was standing before the senior leaders, declaring bluntly, "We do not need to cooperate with Musk. We will get what we need no matter the cost. If necessary, discredit him. As for Ms. Nair, make sure she doesn't open her mouth." The courtroom erupted in whispers, and many even gasped in surprise. Judge Thornwald's face paled, but he quickly regained his serious expression. Reeves struggled to stand up and argued, "Your Honor, this video has not been authenticated. It may have been edited." Musk smiled slightly. "Your Honor, independent digital forensic experts have confirmed the integrity of the video. The confirmation file is on the court table." Judge Thornwald took the file from the court clerk, quickly flipping through the pages. She nodded slowly, her eyes looking straight at Reeves. "The evidence is admissible." Judge Thornwald sighed, leaned back in her chair, and looked around the courtroom. "Mr. Musk, Miss Nair, thank you for your persistent pursuit of the truth. Mr. Reeves, Mr. Hammond, what I saw today was an insult to this legal system." Her eyes looked straight at Hammond, cold. "I will give you the final judgment tomorrow morning, but I warn you, be prepared." When the temporary hearing ended, Elon Musk and Lila walked out into the sea of waiting reporters. Musk calmly left only one sentence that made everyone think. "Justice sometimes comes slowly, but it always comes." Behind him, Hammond and Reeves walked out silently, their faces dark. A few reporters shouted, "Mr. Hammond, do you deny the charges? Mr. Musk, do you think you won?" Musk just turned around and smiled, his eyes full of meaning. Lila looked at him, her eyes sparkling. "Elon, I've never seen anyone do this, especially alone like you." "Sometimes," Musk said softly, "to change the rules of the game, you have to dare to stand alone." The next morning, as the sun rose, the San Francisco federal courthouse was packed with people. Journalists, reporters, technology experts, and lawyers from all over the country came, everyone knowing that today would be a historic day of judgment. No one said anything to anyone, but everyone knew. If Elon Musk won, the technology industry would have a case that would change the rules of the game forever. If Magnetek is acquitted, the fear of legal theft will continue to haunt the inventors. Judge Beatrice Thornwald entered, her face as cold as ice, but her eyes were unusually sharp. Elon Musk rose from the defendant's table, next to Lila, who had been quietly supporting him throughout this battle. On the plaintiff's side, Victor Hammond, CEO of Magnetek, remained confident, but everyone noticed his pale complexion, and his eyes were looking around as if searching for an escape route. Dominic Reeves, Magnetek's lawyer, looked down at the file, knowing that all his efforts were now on the brink of collapse. Judge Thornwald's voice rang out loudly, breaking the gloomy atmosphere. "Today, I have made a final judgment in the case between Magnetek Industries and Musk Innovations. After reviewing all the evidence, including the testimony of Ms. Nair, internal documents, surveillance video, and irrefutable electronic evidence, I conclude that Magnetek has committed acts of intellectual property theft, infringing on the patent rights of Musk Innovations." The whole room exploded with whispers and discussions. Hammond's face was as green as a leaf, while Reeves was sweating like a shower. His face was white. Judge Thornwald continued in a solemn and authoritative voice. "Based on Section 47B of the Technology Innovation Protection Act of 2018, I declare Magnetek is prohibited from participating in any project, development, manufacture, or commercialization of energy storage technology related to this patent for a period of 5 years." An unprecedentedly severe sentence in the history of technology. Hammond collapsed into his chair, no longer able to maintain his usual arrogant demeanor. Reeves sighed, knowing that his career with Magnetek was over. Sure enough, the judge continued. "In addition, Magnetek must pay $50 million in damages to Musk Innovations, and I refer this case to the U.S. Attorney's Office for investigation of criminal charges, including commercial espionage and perjury." The courtroom fell silent, except for the sound of the gavel, which concluded the hearing. "The court declares the trial adjourned." Lila's eyes filled with tears. Unable to hide her emotions, she turned to hold Musk's hand. "We did it, Elon. You proved to the world that justice still exists." Musk nodded slightly, his eyes looking far away. "Justice is not just about winning in the courtroom. It is about protecting the creative rights for all future generations." A series of big headlines appeared on electronic newspapers and television. Elon Musk takes down Magnetek, a classic lawsuit of the technology industry. CEO Musk, the man who stands alone and defeats the giant. Magnetek's 5-year sentence banned from the market, a warning to technology thieves. A reporter passed the mic. Mr. Musk, do you have any words for young inventors who are afraid of having their ideas stolen? Musk paused, thought, and said, I want them to know, keep innovating, keep going, and if someone tries to take your dream away from you, don't be afraid to stand up for it. Sometimes you have to be prepared to go into battle alone, but you won't be alone forever. Immediately after the trial, Magnetek's stock plummeted, losing more than 30% in just 24 hours. Magnetek's board of directors met in emergency session, divided and infighting, with some board members demanding Hammond's immediate resignation. At the same time, Magnetek startups across the country wrote letters thanking Musk for standing up for justice. The next day, she received a phone call from Musk. Beatrice, I have an offer for you. Why don't you help me set up an intellectual property protection fund for small innovators, a place where they won't be crushed by giants like Magnetek? Judge Thornwald smiled over the phone. Elon, I'm not judging this time. I'm with you. The fever over the historic trial between Elon Musk and Magnetek has not cooled down yet. Within 48 hours of the verdict, the entire media, from national television to online newspapers, simultaneously reported on this resounding victory, calling it a turning point for American technology. Justice. But for Elon Musk, the story doesn't stop at the courthouse. He understands that winning the case is one thing, but protecting other small inventors, those who have no voice, is the real battle. A morning at the new headquarters of Musk Innovations. Sunlight streams through the large glass windows, shining on the marble floor. Musk and Lila sit across from each other in a quiet conference room. Outside, employees are busy with new projects, but the conversation between them is about a problem that goes deeper than any technology. Elon, you know people like Priya will continue to appear, but not everyone dares to stand up like she did. Lila said, her voice full of concern. Musk nodded, his eyes thoughtful. I've thought a lot after this, Lila. We've been lucky enough to have the resources to fight. But what about the independent inventors, the young students, the people who can't afford lawyers? Lila smiled slightly. You mean, create a place where they can find protection? Musk stood up, walked to the glass door overlooking the city. Yes, I want to create an inventors defense fund where they can get legal support, financial support, and most of all, a voice. The following week, Musk held a closed-door meeting with his closest associates, including Lila, Priya Nair, who had bravely exposed Magnetek, and one special person, former Judge Beatrice Thornwald, who had resigned to pursue her dream of new justice. When Beatrice entered the meeting room, everyone stood up to greet her. Beatrice, I want you to lead this foundation with me, Musk said, his eyes full of determination. She was surprised, but also filled with admiration. Elon, I've spent 30 years keeping the balance of justice, but this is the first time I feel like I can stop a crime before it happens. Beatrice placed a thick stack of documents on the table. According to statistics, more than 3,000 cases of intellectual property theft are sunk every year because the inventors do not have the money to pursue it to the end. Lila shuddered as she read through the numbers. That means thousands of ideas and inventions are destroyed in the bud. Musk clenched his fists. Yes, and we will be the barrier to protect those ideas. A specific action plan was outlined. Create a technology justice fund. Allocate at least $500 million initially from Musk Innovations and Goodwill partners. Build a team of lawyers, technology experts, and negotiators to provide legal support to inventors under attack. Provide a safe technology scholarship program. Train young inventors how to protect their ideas from the beginning. Intellectual property contract patent advisor. Create a community alert system, an online platform where people can report patent theft. The community reviews and helps each other. national media campaign. Raise awareness of intellectual property protection, especially for small businesses, schools, and young people. As rumors about the Tech Justice Fund spread, thousands of inventors, students, and university professors began sending emails of thanks and proposals for cooperation. Major newspapers such as the New York Times, Forbes, and TechCrunch carried the headline, "Elon Musk creates a fund to protect inventors, changing the global game." That same afternoon, the U.S. President's office contacted Musk. "We want to meet with you to discuss expanding this fund model on a national scale. This could be the impetus for intellectual property law reform that America needs." Musk smiled, looking at Lila and Beatrice. "We've just started, but I guess this story won't stop in America." At the end of the afternoon, Musk walked around the headquarters alone. Lila approached from behind. "What are you thinking about?" Musk pondered. "Lila, I used to build rockets, electric cars, AI, but today I realize that the strongest thing is people's belief in justice. If we don't protect those who dare to dream, no matter how advanced technology is, it's meaningless." Lila smiled, looking at the red sunset sky. "And this time, Elon, you're not fighting alone." The California sky that day was filled with dark clouds, as if signaling a storm that Elon Musk and the Tech Justice Fund were about to face. Because, when the news of Musk's Inventor Protection Fund spread nationwide, not only did small innovators applaud in celebration, but also giant technology corporations began to tremble. They knew, if Elon Musk's plan succeeded, decades of legal theft from small innovators would be exposed, and so the counterattack from the tech giants began. In a skyscraper in New York, a closed-door meeting of the largest technology corporations in the United States took place. Powerful names like Mark Gregory, CEO of Xenix, a giant software company, Charles Adams, CEO of Hyperion Technologies, and Maria Flores, CEO of Magnetek, sat around a round table, none of them hiding their anxiety. "If Musk actually makes the Tech Justice Fund a reality, we're going to get sued," Charles Adams said, his voice thick with tension. "We've collected so much technology from small startups, and now it's going to come back to bite us," Maria Flores agreed, nodding. Mark Gregory, the oldest person at the table, clenched his fists. "We need to stop him before it's too late." Soon after the meeting, the media attacks on Elon Musk and the Tech Justice Fund began to come pouring in. Elon Musk sets fund to profit for himself? Inventor Protection Fund, or new monopoly. High-profile lawyers, hiddenly hired by corporations, appeared on television, criticizing Musk as the new monopolist in disguise. Small inventors who had worked with corporations were forced to sign hush contracts to keep them from approaching Musk's foundation. News of the relentless attacks began to shake the foundation's internal affairs. A closed-door meeting took place at the foundation's headquarters. "Elon, we are being misrepresented by the media. If we don't fight back, the foundation's reputation will collapse," Lila said worriedly. Beatrice Thornwald, now chair of the foundation's board of directors, mused, "I've seen how corporations push down those who oppose them. If we're not careful, we'll be drowned by them." Elon Musk was silent for a long time, his eyes staring into the distance. "I expected this, but I'm not backing down." In the midst of the storm, a surprise call came from the National Patent Director, Mr. Richard Keller, who has been famous for protecting patents since the 90s. "Elon, I want to see you. It's serious." They met at a small cafe, unnoticed. Richard Keller said bluntly, "You're poking at the big monster's den, but I'm on your side. However, there is a problem." "What problem?" Musk asked, his voice low. "Some politicians are being bribed by corporations to pass the Protect Innovation Act, which sounds nice, but is actually to disable funds like yours." Musk was silent, then smiled faintly. "If they want to play politics, I'm ready, but I need proof." Meanwhile, a senior employee of the Tech Justice Fund, Brian Larson, who used to be a close friend of Musk's, was discovered to have a secret meeting with lawyers representing Xenix. "We could offer Musk a fund buyout in exchange for you and me having a major position at Xenix. We both win," the lawyer from Xenix suggested. Brian Larson hesitated, but this is heard by one of Musk's loyal assistants, Emily. Knowing that if he does not fight back, the foundation will be crushed, Musk meets with Lila, Beatrice, and Emily. We will tell the real story, but not through the mainstream media, through the people the foundation protects. A campaign called The Truth About the Tech Justice Foundation was born. Video interviews with small innovators whose ideas were stolen, telling the story of how the foundation helped them. Social media spread emotional stories about inventions that were crushed. Musk appeared on major podcasts, frankly sharing, "We are not against business. We are against injustice." As the real stories spread, the whole country was moved. A 12-year-old boy in Ohio, who invented an energy-saving device but was stolen by a large corporation, was protected by the foundation. A single mother in Texas who invented a device to help autistic children communicate was helped by the foundation to regain the patent rights. The community began to speak out. "We stand with Musk. Protect the innovators. Protect America's future." As all the support was rising, Mark Gregory of Zinix secretly planned to weaponize politicians, speeding up the Protect Innovation bill. And Musk, after learning about Brian Larson's betrayal, looked at Beatrice and Lila. "If they decide to make a law to destroy us, then I will make America stand up against them." On Capitol Hill, in the cold hallways covered with portraits of former presidents, a new battle was beginning. A battle that was no longer in the courtroom, but right at the heart of American power. After their humiliating defeats against Elon Musk, big tech corporations joined forces to lobby for a bill with the beautiful name Protect Innovation. On the surface, this law sounded like it was about protecting patents and encouraging innovation, but hidden deep inside, it contained provisions that could destroy the tech justice fund that Musk had worked so hard to build. At a closed-door meeting in the office of Senator Patrick Holmes, a veteran politician known for his closeness to big corporations, Mark Gregory, CEO Zinix, Charles Adams, Hyperion, and Maria Flores, Magnetek, sat with the lawyers, smiling faintly. "Musk thinks he's smart. He wouldn't expect that the law can be a weapon," Holmes said, his voice full of malice. "We're going to make a tech espionage law, but the goal is to prohibit foundations like Musk from defending those who steal with their words," Mark Gregory added, smiling coldly. When news of the bill leaked, it was Beatrice Thornwald who first approached Elon, her face pale. "Elon, if this bill passes, everything we do will be illegal. It will prohibit foundations like yours from intervening in intellectual property disputes, forcing small inventors to give up." Elon looked at the bill document, his hands clenched, his eyes no longer calm. "This is no longer about me. This is the future of every American inventor." And he decided to speak out in public. In the center of Washington, D.C., hundreds of reporters gathered in front of the Capitol. All eyes were on the man who had shaken the technology world, Elon Musk. Musk stepped up to the podium, flashbulbs flashing continuously. He looked straight into the camera, his voice firm, his emotions pent up. "I stand here today to tell all Americans. A law is being built to stifle innovation, to protect wealthy corporations, and to extinguish the dreams of small inventors. When I founded the Tech Justice Foundation, the sole purpose was to protect people whose ideas were stolen by big companies. Now those companies are trying to legislate to make it a crime." Behind Musk, images of small inventors and touching stories of everyday life were projected onto the big screen. A 15-year-old girl invented a cheap water filter for the poor. A veteran built a device to help people with disabilities, but was robbed of his idea. I ask you, Congressman, who will protect these people if we are silenced? Who will stand up when justice is for sale? Soon after the press conference, a wave of support exploded across the country. Major TV channels reported Musk's speech as a call to protect the greatest innovation of the decade. Twitter was flooded with hashtags, Protect Innovators, Stand with Musk, Justice for Inventors. A series of videos of people sharing their stories of having their ideas robbed by large corporations. "I'm a mechanic in Texas who invented a fuel-saving device, and a big company took it and patented it. Without the Musk Foundation, I'd be out of luck. I'm a teacher who invented software to help kids learn better, and a big company bought it for cheap and kicked me out of the game. Musk stood up for people like me. Inside Congress, lawmakers began to feel intense pressure from voters. Senator Holmes' office was surrounded by inventors holding signs that said, "Protect innovation, not theft." Calls and emails flooded in, demanding lawmakers vote against the bill. Senator Marcia Fielding, who had supported the bill, now had to appear on television. I have to admit, what Mr. Musk said made me think again. We need to protect innovation, not stifle it. An unexpected ally appeared. U.S. Vice President Robert Hale, an inventor before entering politics, publicly declared, "I will not let any law destroy the future of creative dreamers just to make corporations richer." The vice president's strong intervention shook the corporations. The battle moved from the boardroom to the public and now all the way to the White House. A private meeting took place between Elon Musk and the U.S. president in the Oval Office. The president looked at Musk seriously. "Mr. Musk, you are stirring things up, but I want to hear you say, why should I intervene?" Elon Musk calmly, looking straight at the president, "Because if you don't, we will lose what makes America great, the creativity of ordinary people, not corporations." When Musk left the White House, a crowd of reporters was waiting outside. The afternoon sun shone on his face, and no one knew what would happen next. On Twitter, Musk posted a single line, "The fight for justice is never easy, but it's worth it. Protect innovation." Opening scene. The atmosphere is tense across the United States, between protests, fierce TV debates, and millions of people watching every latest development. Elon Musk, from a man who is suspected of defending himself in court, has now become a symbol of the fight to protect fair innovation. But his opponents, a coalition of giant technology corporations and politicians with vested interests, have not stopped. The meeting between Elon Musk and the U.S. president yesterday was more than just a social chat. The very next morning, the president appeared on national television in a formal speech that shocked the entire United States. "Over the past few days, I have listened to the American people. I have listened to the stories of inventors, young people trying to make the world a better place, and I have listened to Elon Musk. Let me say this. This administration will not support any legislation that would stifle American creativity and innovation." The audience across the country exploded. On social media, a series of new hashtags appeared. President with inventors, stop corporate control, Musk, vs. giants. At the headquarters of large technology corporations such as Xenix, Magnetek, Hyperion, CEOs sat silently watching the speech. Mark Gregory, CEO of Xenix, slammed his hand on the table. "The president is on Musk's side. We don't have much time left." Maria Flores, CEO of Magnetek, tremblingly held a cup of coffee. "We spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying. Now it's all gone up in smoke." Immediately after the president's speech, the corporations decided to launch a dangerous move. They launched a massive media campaign smearing Elon Musk. Advertisements appeared densely on television, radio, and social networks with the message, "Elon Musk, the richest man on the planet, wants to monopolize technology to keep ordinary Americans forever in a weak position. Say no to monopoly. Say no to Musk." Accompanied by images cut from Musk's weak moments in court at the beginning to make him look like an incompetent person. However, the public's reaction surprised the corporations. Under each advertisement defaming Musk were tens of thousands of counter-comments. "We don't care if Musk is rich or poor. We care about the truth, and the truth is, you steal technology. Musk dared to stand up alone against the big guys. That's what America needs. No one protects inventors except Musk. Don't let them be silenced." Marches erupted in major cities, New York, San Francisco, Chicago, Houston. Banners were everywhere. "Innovation belongs to everyone. Stop stealing from the little guy. Elon fights for us. We fight with him." As the political and social situation escalated, the president called an emergency meeting with his senior advisors. The Secretary of Commerce, the Attorney General, the White House legal advisor, all were present. The president looked at each of them, his voice resolute. I cannot let this country become a place where only the rich and powerful are protected. We need a comprehensive policy, not just to block that bill, but to ensure that every inventor, from the kid in the garage to the genius in the lab, is protected. The legal advisor said softly, but, sir, if we do it too strongly, it will anger many large corporations, affecting the national finances. The president clenched his fists. Then let them be angry. Justice cannot be bought with money. The night before the congressional hearing, Elon received a strange call. A deep male voice threatened. Mr. Musk, get out of this fight. Otherwise, we will mess up everything you have built. Elon was silent for a few seconds and then replied, I have lost everything before, and I am not afraid of losing again. But if you hurt the inventors out there, I will not forgive you. After the call ended, Elon looked out the window, the city lights twinkling in the distance, but in his heart there was a fire that had never gone out. The next morning, the Capitol was packed. Thousands of people lined up early to listen. Millions across the country watched the live broadcast. Elon walked into the hall with Beatrice Thornwald, Layla, and a group of young inventors. Children who had been helped by the Justice Fund also appeared, holding simple but hopeful inventions. A 12-year-old boy who invented a device to help his paralyzed mother take care of herself was invited to sit in the front row. The chairman's voice rang out. Today, the United States Congress will hear opinions on the future of innovation. We invite Mr. Elon Musk to step forward. Elon took a deep breath, his eyes fixed firmly on the front. He knew that what happened today would decide not only his company, but all the dreams of innovation growing in this country. The door opened. Silence filled the room. All eyes were on Musk, and the story had just begun. The atmosphere was tense before Gower. The room was suffocating. Outside, thousands of Musk protesters and small inventors held signs. Protect inventors, not corporations. Elon fights for us. We stand with Elon. Innovation belongs to everyone. The elders, the veteran inventors who had been oppressed all their lives, sat next to the young engineering students with eyes full of dreams. Both generations stood up. The Speaker of the House, Senator Caroline Matthews, a strong woman in a gray suit, banged the gavel. The hearing officially begins. We invite Mr. Elon Musk, CEO of Musk Innovations, to speak. Elon Musk stepped forward. No one recognized the confused man in court on the first day. Today he was poised, confident, and full of character. In his hand he held an old notebook that symbolized his passion and years of research. He looked straight at the congressman, at the television camera that was broadcasting live to millions of Americans. He began, speaking slowly but forcefully. Congress, my fellow Americans, I stand before you not just for myself, but for the millions of inventors, engineers, and brilliant minds who are being stifled by corporate giants. They are people who are trying to create a better future for this country, but every day, their hard work, their ideas, their dreams are taken away from them. Elon did not begin with his own story. He told the story of Frank, a 72-year-old man from Texas who invented a cheap solar power system but whose patent was stolen by a big company. Frank spent 30 years tinkering with every circuit, but instead of being honored, he received letters threatening lawsuits. When he came to me, he simply asked, Elon, how can they take what I created? Elon's voice choked up. The room fell silent. On the dais, the congressmen bowed their heads. Some of the elders in the audience wiped away their tears. Senator William Grant, the opposition representative, said sternly, Mr. Musk, are you exploiting public emotions to protect your personal interests? You are also a billionaire. Do you really understand the little people you represent? Elon was silent for a few seconds. Then he replied firmly, I used to sleep on the factory floor, used to eat instant noodles for $1 a day to save for my first project. I know what it feels like to be looked down upon, to have my ideas robbed. If I don't stand up today, Who will stand up for those who don't have the same opportunities as me? A round of applause broke out, though the chairman tried to maintain order. Senator Caroline Matthews suddenly spoke up. "Mr. Musk, we heard you brought a special witness." Elon nodded and invited Emma Rodriguez, 14, to step forward. She was small, but her eyes were strong. "Hello, everyone. My name is Emma. I created a sensor to help my grandmother with Alzheimer's remember to take her medicine. But when I submitted my idea to a big competition, the company that sponsored the competition took it, and now they sell it for $500, while I only wanted to help my grandmother for $20. We have a couple hours till class, so I have an idea if you could help us out." Emma helped up the competition, and now they sell it for $500, while I only wanted to help my grandmother for $20. The audience was silent. Many people were in tears. Emma bowed her head. "I just wanted to help my grandmother. I don't have the money to sue them." Elon stepped forward again, looking straight into the camera. "I'm not here today to ask for anything for myself. I want to ask the Congress and all Americans, do we want to live in a country where dreams are stolen, or a country where everyone from a 14-year-old girl to a 72-year-old man is protected? I choose America of hope. What about you?" Mark Gregory, CEO of Xenix, was invited to the front. He looked at Elon with a cold gaze. "Mr. Musk, you say it's for the inventors, but don't you also hold hundreds of exclusive patents? Who are you to lecture us about fairness?" Elon smiled slightly and replied, "There's a big difference, Mr. Gregory. I create and keep it to build, not to steal the work of others. If I did what you did, I wouldn't be sitting here today facing Congress." At the end of the hearing, Senator Matthews declared, "Thank you, Mr. Musk. Thank you, the witnesses. This hearing will continue tomorrow. Congress needs time to consider new draft laws to protect innovation." Elon walked out of the Capitol building. The crowd cheered, "Elon! Elon! Fight for us!" But he knew the battle had only just begun. Around a large walnut table, 5 powerful men and women were meeting. They were representatives of giant corporations in energy, technology, and finance, names that never appeared in public, but decided the fate of millions of people. The cold voice of Richard Grant, CEO of Xenix Corporation, rang out. "We have let Musk go too far. Not only has he ruined the case, he is now pulling Congress to his side. If the new law is passed, we will all lose control of the energy market." Margaret DuPont, the international banking magnate, sipped red wine and smiled faintly. "A kid who got rich from technology dares to challenge the order we have built for centuries? It's time to remind him that this world is not for dreamers." Meanwhile, in his temporary apartment in D.C., Elon Musk was reviewing his notes for the next hearing. The city lights shone into the room, casting his shadow long against the wall. Leela, his close assistant, had just made a cup of ginger tea and placed it on the table. "You should rest, Elon. Tomorrow is an important confrontation." Elon smiled, but his eyes were full of concern. "No, Leela. This fight is bigger than me. If I fall, no one will dare to stand up again." Suddenly the phone rang, an unknown number. Elon hesitated and picked up. "Musk." On the other end of the line was a deep, icy male voice. "Stop it, Musk. Don't be stupid. You don't understand who you're up against. We've had enough of it. One last piece of advice. Get out, or everything you have will be gone." Elon narrowed his eyes, his voice calm but firm. "Someone once told me, if you don't lose everything for what's right, you never deserve it. See you in Congress." The click ended the call, leaving a heavy atmosphere. Leela looked at Elon, worried. "Do you know who they are?" Elon nodded silently. "The Power Council, the people who control the game behind the scenes, and now they're starting to get scared." The next morning, as Elon was about to leave the apartment, Layla rushed in with a pale face. "Elon, something big is happening." She showed him the iPod. Above it was a picture of his mother May Musk's house, vandalized. The windows were shattered, and the red words painted on the wall, "Stop or pay." Elon clenched his fists, his eyes cold. "They dare to touch my family?" Layla whispered, worried. You can't go on like this. They won't stop. Elon looked straight at her, his voice low but firm. That's why I have to continue. Just as Elon was about to leave the apartment, an old man walked in, followed by 2 bodyguards. Sorry for coming without notice. I'm Charles Welling, former CEO of Thoros Group, and also part of the council you're fighting against. Elon frowned. So you're here to threaten me again? Charles shook his head, smiling sadly. No, I'm here to help you. I used to be part of them, but what they're doing is beyond the limit. I can't turn a blind eye when they threaten to kill your mother. Layla opened her eyes wide, surprised. Why are you helping us? Charles looked at Elon, serious. Because I used to be like you, a believer in the future. But I let money cloud my judgment. I don't want to die with that sin. And I bring proof they can't deny. Elon stared at him. What evidence? Charles took out a small hard drive. They have emails, recordings about setting up a lawsuit against you. If you show this to Congress, they will be wiped out. Elon and Charles and Layla entered a special security room. They began to open the hard drive. The first files appeared on the screen. Conversations between Zenek's CEO and other corporations, planning to steal inventions. Records of closed meetings about threatening the Musk family. Details of the plot to bribe members of Congress to oppose the Protection of Inventions Act. Layla was stunned. Elon, this will destroy them. Elon nodded, his eyes flashing with steel. But they will not sit still and let me announce it. From now on, prepare for the worst. The U.S. Capitol building was bright in the early morning sunlight, but inside the atmosphere was heavy and tense. A special hearing was urgently called with the theme, Protecting Technological Innovation and the Fight Against Black Power. In front of the building, hundreds of reporters, activists, and citizens gathered, holding signs, Support Justice for Creators, Stop Stealing Technology, Elon, we are with you. But there were also small groups of protesters, funded by underground forces, chanting, No billionaires control the law. The black SUV slowly stopped in front of the Capitol. Elon Musk stepped out in a simple gray suit, his face calm but his eyes sharp. Beside him was Layla, her face tense but determined, and Charles Welling, a man who had once belonged to the opposition, now stood beside Musk as a loyal ally. The camera flashes, the questions are urgent. Mr. Musk, are you ready to face new accusations? Is it true that you intend to release confidential documents about large corporations? Elon pauses for a moment, looks straight into the camera, his voice low but strong. Today, I am not here to defend myself, but to defend the future of all innovators in this United States. As Elon enters the hearing room, many congressmen from different factions look at him with skepticism and coldness. In the distance, Richard Grant, CEO of Zenek, sits with a group of lawyers, smiling arrogantly, as if he is sure that this battle has been decided. The chair of the hearing, Senator Susan Hall, speaks up. Mr. Musk, please begin your presentation, but I repeat, the accusations you make must be supported by specific evidence. Elon steps to the microphone, his eyes scanning the entire room, where hundreds of eyes are watching. He did not flinch. Dear Congress, I am not here today to defend myself against the baseless accusations of Magnetek and the big corporations behind them. I am here to expose a truth that the people deserve to know. There is a hidden force, a council of power, that is manipulating the technology market, buying policy, and destroying American innovation. The room erupted. Many congressmen exchanged worried glances. But Elon did not stop. He held up a small USB. On this USB are emails, recordings, and top-secret documents that prove their plot to steal my technology and threaten my family. Elon plugged the USB into the congressional projection system. The large screen showed internal emails exchanged between CEOs. Email from Richard Grant. If we have to steal, we must get Musk's nanotechnology before he dominates the market. Recording of internal meeting. If he doesn't back down, start putting pressure on his family, we have a way. Photos of secret meetings, detailed plans to steal technology. The auditorium exploded with angry whispers. Some lawmakers were silent, others began to take notes frantically. Richard Grant was pale, whispering to his lawyer. Leila stepped up to the podium, her voice trembling but determined. I am an eyewitness. I saw the threatening letters to Elon's family. I also discovered the stolen documents, and I stand here today ready to swear an oath to tell the truth. The room fell silent. The young woman's courage shook even the normally neutral lawmakers. Next came Charles, his voice thoughtful. I was part of the Council of Power. I am here to confess and to protect America's creative future. We discussed how to take down Musk because his technology threatens the billion-dollar interests of energy corporations. But I cannot remain silent while they plan to destroy a family just to gain their own interests. A murmur rang out across the room. Some congressmen bowed their heads, perhaps because they had received campaign money from these corporations. Elon stood up straight, his eyes determined. You are seeing the truth. Today, I am not just fighting for my company, but for all Americans who dream big. If you let these corporations win, no one will dare to innovate anymore. We will lose the future that America deserves. So I call on Congress not only to investigate these corporations, but also to pass the Protect Invention Act, to protect people like me, like the young inventors sitting somewhere in this room. Senator Susan Hall, who had been cold at first, now looked at Elon with a different gaze, gently asking, Mr. Musk, you know that giving this evidence will put you and your family in danger. So why do you still do it? Elon looked straight at her, his voice full of emotion. Because if I don't dare to speak, who will? If I, who has all the power, am afraid, what will happen to those young people? The room was silent. Tears fell from the back row, where young innovators were sitting, silently witnessing one of the historic moments. Elon stepped down from the hearing podium. Outside, the media was ready to broadcast the breaking news. Congress would have to decide, but the storm of media and public pressure would surely hit the big corporation. Leila held Elon's hand tightly. We did it. Elon smiled, but his eyes were thoughtful. This war has only just begun, Leila, but at least today the truth has been told. The afternoon sun was falling on the white dome of the U.S. Capitol, but no one noticed its beauty. From the humble houses in Ohio to the flashy skyscrapers in New York, from the factories in Michigan to the remote farms of Texas, millions of Americans were glued to their screens, waiting for the historic decision. Elon Musk, who just a few days ago was laughed at by the media for defending himself, has now become a symbol for inventors, for the American dream that is under threat. Inside the closed chamber of Congress, tired faces, worried eyes, and tense debates are taking place as the congressmen face a big question. Will we protect justice or continue to let the dark forces manipulate this country? Inside the closed-door meeting room, Senator Susan Hall looked at each member of Congress, her voice low but powerful. Colleagues, we are facing the biggest choice of our careers. If we do not act, America will lose faith in justice. But if we stand up, we will confront the most powerful corporations on the planet. An older congressman, Mr. Robert Grant, spoke sadly. I have served here for 40 years, and I have never seen anything like this. But the truth is the truth. They have robbed young people of their dreams. If we do not do the right thing, who will? But there were also opponents, like Senator Jenkins, who was backed by large corporations. We are risking the destruction of major financial resources, companies that provide thousands of jobs. Do you want to see a series of factories closing? The debate was fierce and heated, each word like a knife stabbing straight into the heart of the problem America is facing. At the same time, on the streets from Washington, D.C. to Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, millions of Americans took to the streets carrying signs. Protect the truth, protect the inventor. We stand with Elon. No place for dream thieves. In the large square across from Congress, an old woman with a trembling sign in her hand. I dreamed of being an engineer. Don't let dreams like mine continue to be stolen. There were old soldiers holding banners. "I fought for freedom, not for corporations to kill justice." American audiences over 50 who witnessed the golden age of American industry felt more clearly than anyone else the pain of loss, and they saw themselves in Musk's fight to protect the soul of America. As the clock struck 6 p.m., the senators returned to the main chamber. Elon Musk sat in the middle of the chamber next to Leela and Charles Welling, his face calm but his eyes filled with hope. Senator Susan Hall stood up, her gaze determined. After many hours of deliberation, debate, and listening, the United States Congress, by a vote of 321 to 113, officially passed the Protecting Innovation and Technological Justice Act. The chamber erupted in applause, tears, and cheers. Elon closed his eyes, a tear silently falling. Layla held his hand tighter than ever. Susan Hall continued, "And regarding the specific incident between Mr. Musk and Magnetek, the Congress requests that the Department of Justice prosecute him for industrial espionage, intellectual property theft, and witness intimidation." As Elon walked out of the Capitol building, he came face to face with Richard Grant, the CEO who once thought he was invincible. Now Grant's face was pale, his steps heavy, knowing that he was about to face a criminal court and decades in prison. "Do you think you've won, Musk?" Grant growled. Elon looked at him, his eyes not hateful, only disappointed and determined. "I'm not here to win, Grant. I'm here to make sure justice is served, so that kids growing up out there dare to dream without fear of having their creations taken away from them." That evening, in a nationally televised address to the nation, Elon stood in the spotlight. "I'm not perfect, but I believe in the American dream. I believe that anyone, from a young man in a garage to a girl in a lab, has the right to dream big and make their dreams come true. If we let the powerful trample on that, we will lose the soul of this nation. Today, we didn't let that happen, and I believe America is stronger than ever." In the final scene, Elon stands on the top floor of the company, looking out at the starry night sky, as if dreaming of new technologies that will continue to change the world. Beside him, Layla whispers, "We did it." Perhaps in life, all of us have witnessed moments when justice seems out of reach, when those with power and money think they can take away the work of others without paying the price. And the story of Elon Musk confronting Magnetek Corporation is not just a battle in the courtroom, but a lesson in courage, perseverance, and protecting the truth, especially in today's society. In modern society, where economic power dominates so much, many people may think that the truth is no longer valued. But this story reminds us that if you are steadfast in what is right, if you do not give up on the truth, justice will eventually come, no matter how difficult the path is, no matter how ridiculed, no matter how despised. Just like how Elon did not lose heart when he was laughed at by the court, the media, and his opponents, he was patient, intelligent, and persistent in exposing the truth. This tells us that in life, never give up on your true values, even when the whole world turns its back on you. Today's society often makes people believe that money and power can buy everything, including the truth. But Elon Musk's story shows that when you prepare well, when you stand on the side of justice, you can defeat seemingly invincible forces. This lesson is especially valuable to older audiences who have witnessed the drastic changes in society over time, because many people have seen their dreams or those of their children blatantly snatched away by giants. But Elon Musk shows that there is always a way to fight and win, as long as you do not surrender. Elon Musk does not only fight for his company, he fights to protect the dreams of young creators, those who have no voice, no power, those whose efforts can be stolen at any time. He understands that his fight is a fight for justice, for the future of technology, for a better society. In life, each of us is the same. When we fight for what is right, it is not only for ourselves, but also for our children, for the weaker, for kindness in society. Older Americans who have seen America rise through hard work and innovation will surely sympathize with Elon Musk as he firmly defends the core values that make up the American dream. The American dream is not for the crooks, the corporations that are willing to trample on others to get ahead. The American dream is for those who dare to dream, dare to do, and deserve to enjoy the fruits of their efforts. Finally, the story also reminds us that in the shadows of contracts and large corporations, there are always conspiracies that threaten the rights of individuals and communities. But if we unite, if we do not remain silent in the face of injustice, those forces cannot prevail. And now, I want to ask you, those who are following this story, have you ever been in a situation where justice was on the other side? Have you ever had to fight for what was right, even though you knew it would be difficult? Share your story in the comments section so we can all empower those who are on the journey to protect justice. If you find this story inspiring and touching, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your loved ones so that everyone understands that in a fair society, the truth always deserves to be honored.